So I just spoke with Martin, the co-founder and CEO, ex-CEO of Applyboard, and now the founder and CEO at Passage. Martin, Martin is amazing. You're going to love this episode. He's one of the most successful founders in Canada. I mean, Applyboard is now a $4 billion unicorn, and Passage just raised, I think, Canada's largest seed round ever, $40 million. So on this episode, he goes through how to find product market fit and kind of the early story of Applyboard. When he started off, he was an international student. He had just done a couple years as an engineer and started really just helping a few of his friends come in and study in Canada. Noticed there was a potential problem there, and he put out a landing page. On his first day, he made a sale. So I think he realized pretty quickly that there was something there. And the trick really became in finding the right model, partnering with colleges and universities, partnering with agents abroad who have distribution, and automating enough of the puzzle so that he could truly kind of scale his operations. I think the learning here is it's so important to deliver incredible value. And when you do, there's so much pull behind that. So in his case, he was changing people's lives. I mean, people that were able to all of a sudden come here and study in Canada, their entire lives were transformed. And for that reason, it was one of the most top of my kind of problems he was solving, not just for the students moving over, but for their entire families. And for schools on the flip side, because he made money from schools, he was also providing incredible ROI, about 10x ROI. I mean, whatever the schools paid, they made 10 times as much from the international students that came over. And then what he had to really figure out is how to scale it. And it wasn't, as much as it became an incredible company, it didn't start off that easy. He had to bootstrap for a long time because he wasn't, recurring revenue and clean SaaS. He had a really hard time fundraising, as you'll find out, but he made it through. He was insanely focused on delivering incredible customer value. And I think that's why he found product market fit. Welcome to the Product Market Fit Show, brought to you by Mistral, a seed stage firm based in Canada. I'm Pablo. I'm a founder turned VC. My goal is to help early stage founders like you find product market fit. Well, Martin, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So look, Martin, I mean, now you've just actually last week, you announced what I think is Canada's largest seed round. We can even call it that, a $40 million round for your new startup, Passage. Before that, you were the co-founder, or we still are the co-founder, you're the CEO of Applyboard, which is now worth $4 billion, making it one of the biggest unicorns in Canada. So tons of success as a founder, but it didn't start off that way, right? I mean, nobody starts off successful. You got to get there through grind, through hard work. So let's start at the beginning, really. I mean, today we're going to talk about how to get the product market fit. But, before you were there, I think you were a research assistant and then you were an engineer. Maybe take us through that context of the days before the idea for Applyboard came about.
Okay, sounds good. So I start from very early of Applyboard and what happened before that. I was one of those nerd students in Iran, and I was inventing these, writing codes, building circuits. I got to know that I have to come to Canada for making my ideas and inventions to companies. Because in Iran, at the time, and maybe still, there were not those infrastructures for you to build something to a global company, So the best way was to come for study my master's degree. And I genuinely wanted to first be kind of like an inventor and scientist. I didn't know that much about business. Purely was more about science and inventing stuff, from the engineering point of view. Came to Canada. It was such a hard process to come to Canada. I wasn't speaking English properly. And then I helped my brothers to come to Canada. And as a result, I started helping their friends to come to Canada. And we kind of started learning about the different paths of coming to Canada to study. Fast forward, I graduated. I went to working at a company in Ohio as an engineer. I worked for about 2 years. I was oh no, I'm going back to do more science and stuff. One of the ideas that I started working on was what if helping other people to come and study in Canada, which later on become all countries, become a code. what if it's automated? What if you don't have to just do it with phone, helping other people? Why they can't like get some of the filtering and stuff like first done it like on their own through a website? So we built a very light version of it, and it worked. And first night we put the software up, someone paid $500 to get the admission package to come to Canada for whether it's for Canada or for an English language test, for English language program. Sorry, and we were like, okay, we are on something. So then we started thinking about what's a business model for such a thing that we need, because we knew all about the student side, and then we don't know much about the schools, universities, and colleges. And then we started like basically looking at that. And that's literally how Applyboard was born. Like, I've done it for myself. I needed something like that for when I was coming abroad. I knew all of my friends needed it. So we kind of built it that way. And that was the beginning of the company.
How much was automated in the first days? Like, what was the first iteration of the product, like the landing page you put up?
Almost nothing. So if you say the entire scope of like helping someone for the university admission, if let's say that is 100%, day one might be like 0.1% automated, 99.9% manual. And over years became more automation went up where the manual went down.
So you have kind of demand, I'm not going to say figured out, but you are part of that demand. And I think you see signs that there's going to be a lot of demand for people that want to come and study in Canada. What's your first step on the other side, on working with partners, on working with schools and figuring out the business model?
Call them. We are calling them. So like, hey, we have such a thing. First, we were thinking about let's build that, and then let's get them to subscription, because everyone was saying subscription. Like, it was 2015, and SaaS was the start to becoming the very, very hype of the market. You know, we are going to like different hypes over time, and people loved it because it's predictable, is a recurring revenue.
On that, like if you could go a level deeper, just because at this point you kind of have no credibility. So I'm curious, how do you even get through the door to have these conversations with universities, right? Like big organizations, not necessarily the most innovative.
Later, I drove there. They're like, hey, where is the admission office? They said that way. I went there and I stand. I remember it was like I was standing, and they were like, who are you guys? And like, hey, they have some questions. They were looking at our weird, like, no appointment, nothing. You just showed up. We were like, oh, I didn't know you have to take an appointment. I have a thick accent. At the time, it was a bit thicker accent. So it's kind of helped, because I could get away from some of the things that I don't know. And people could assume that he's probably like a foreigner, doesn't know what is happening here. I just ignored the rules and I went forward and did. And, but we were calling people like tens of times. You were like, hey, you said no to this. If we change it this way, would you like it? And he was like, this. And some people just say, don't call me again. Some people were like, they actually start liking our persistence. And they start like telling you, yeah, perseverance. They were like, you know what? Like, one of the best call that actually changed the entire business model. We were like with this advisor. We were talking about the SaaS and stuff. And he was like, how are the universities paid today? We said, oh, they pay per student. I'm going to talk to the universities, and universities talking about, they push back on 10,000 versus 20,000. And I said, oh, the entire school that matter in Canada, for example, is 300. Even if I take $10,000 and I take 100% of the market, it still is only like 300 times 10,000 is $3 million. Such a small can. And then we realized, no, there's unlimited. You can charge from the recruitment if you can deliver unlimited result, which is then another problem. Now that we have the business model, you want to scale it. You need to build product. And then the way that you go about it, you like, okay, what are the steps has to happen for this to become, like, what are the main puzzles have to be solved for this problem to be solved, to be all automated. And then you look at like risk reward on every single one, kind of like effort reward, then risk reward. Okay, this one takes like a year to build. The result is like 40% of the process get automated. Let's go with that one. For us, the first thing to automate was search. Every student comes, they say, this is my GPA, this is how much money I have, this is my test score, which university or college I can get accepted to. So if we have all the database of all these universities or colleges that they partner with us, we could like simply do the first matching. At least we could have a portion of the product that is like very valuable to customers, put it out for free. Not only is a lot of students use that and they go and then apply to university themselves, never university pays us or we talk to that student, but it creates a good reputation for us. At least some of those students say, you know what, this is such a good tool, so maybe I also want to hire you for the application piece.
That makes perfect sense. One of the things that comes to my mind is when I think about, Applyboard, and I think, okay, international students clearly want to come here. They pay a lot, so therefore universities clearly would want to accept them, especially if it's fully kind of done for them. Part of me is like, man, that sounds like obvious. That sounds like easy, and nothing is. Like nothing that becomes a $4 billion company was easy or truly obvious. Like what were some of the, I don't know, either like mistakes, like wrong directions that you took early on, or even just some of the insights that you figured out that made Applyboard what it became?
The fundraising for the first couple of years was extremely hard because a lot of the VCs, they go to very top schools like Harvard, Stanford, Yale, Columbia, and those schools, UPenn. And the fact that someone's like sell their home and belongings in India to send one of their children to come to a tier 2 school wasn't resonating with them. So they were like, why someone come to go to San Jose State University? Why don't they come to Stanford? Because the Stanford doesn't have 500,000 seats, and also Stanford tuition fee is like $70,000 per year, for example. Like these people's salary per month might be like $500, $1,000. This is their life savings. They can't afford it. So fundraising was very hard, and that really helped. So for the companies that they have hard time fundraising, the benefit of that was for us that we built the company so frugal, and we had to like make it, we really had to stretch every single dollar. And because of that, the advantage of that was like we built a very solid, efficient business. The disadvantage of that, like we couldn't have access to all the talent that we wanted and we needed. So we had to like build a lot of people. So we had to like get a lot of junior people, train them to act even better than seniors, versus get a lot of senior people that they knew the job. However, later on in the company, I realized that is actually the winning model, even when you have the money to build a lot of great entrepreneurs inside your company, a lot of people who are like skills to solve problems, because it's great someone work at this company or that company. You do need them, some of them, to come and they bring that experience, but that's not enough. That drives, that know-how of the company, that knowing the company's history, so that you know what did we try, what was that result. That knowledge really also mattered for a company. But for some reason, our numbers were started, not for some reason, like for some reason it worked. And our numbers started working so well that in the matter of every 11 months, is starting 2018, so 3 years after building the company, every 11 months we done one fundraising. The company went from like low valuation to like unicorn status and continuing, and we could add the talents mix that we needed.
Well, I think, and I see this all the time. I mean, in the early days, even if you're funded, the reality is everybody needs A players. Everybody wants A players. And frankly, a lot of the known A players, the experienced A players, have so much choice that you're probably not going to get them anyways as a seed stage startup, most cases. And so you're much better off trying to find these kind of unidentified, A players that are just not proven yet. And they come to your startup to really prove themselves. I mean, what you get out of that is huge. I mean, incredible ROI. You also get incredible mission drive and, loyalty, if you want to call it that, just because of the opportunity they're given. So I think that fully resonates. Let me ask this, like in the early days, I mean, you talked about fundraising being hard. What were, besides the fact that VCs maybe didn't fully get the problem, like what were some of the key reasons VCs passed? Like what were some of the things you kept hearing?
So I think number one reason was like any other company, you as a founder, you need to believe in something to see the result. And for other people, they need to see it to believe it. So the gap between what you believe and what they believe is normally the reason they pass. A lot of people pass because you as a founder did not learn how to talk and to resonate to make it resonate with them, how to show them the vision, how to pitch, and also how much they know about that problem. Because we never had a problem with immigrant VCs, which there are not that many immigrant VCs. That's why the fundraising was hard. But like any immigrant VC, right away they were getting it. I didn't even have to tell them about problem right away. Like, oh, can I test it? Oh, my cousin in India gonna use it. My brother from South Africa gonna use it. My sister wanna do this. Like when we were hitting the people that understood it, they were like going like that very fast. Till the numbers start showing the truth for the people that didn't quite get the story of immigration, they started seeing it as well. And what else? The other reason we were in Canada, there's still a lot of people were believing that building top companies only going to be possible in Silicon Valley or Boston or New York. So we had that disadvantage as well, even though in Canada, as a result, actually, we had lower cost per employee, salaries were lower. Our product was a good Canadian. Canada is the best country in the world for immigration. So absolutely, it makes sense to be in Canada. But for the VC parts, they were thinking talent only exists in things. And I think COVID did that COVID proves to everyone that no, talent is everywhere. And the fact of like not giving up, every time you go to a VC or to a customer and they reject you, you have two choices to make. One way is like you say, oh, this is a bad idea, this is it. Or the other way, you just like, here's the points that they had, think about it, see if it's real or not, adjust, pivot, whatever you have to do, but don't give up. In fact, you say, I just realized one other way how not to pitch.
That makes sense. I mean, I think perspectives are everything, and frankly, being able to handle rejection just has to be in the DNA of any successful founder. Because, again, like from outside, and this is kind of one of the points that I'm trying to kind of get at, is like from outside, a lot of these successes, just look like rocket ships. Like, wow, they just kind of hit it on the head, first try, and the thing just went up and to the right. You dig in, and most overnight successes took a long time. So maybe on that note, like when we go back to those you're raising that $3 million round, like before that, and seems like you have good demand, like students are coming in, you're starting to figure it out with schools. Any stories that come to mind, and just some of the things, I mean, interesting, kind of the story of you walking into the universities and just talking to people. Anything else you had to do to kind of fake it till you make it?
Hiring those people that you really need it because they have a skill set that you need and they have 100 choices, as you said. Oh no, those ones were the ones that I was sometimes like personally flying to their city to convince them. And back in the days, we wanted them to be in person as well. So I another disadvantage of asking them, hey, not only I have to convince you to join us, I also want you to like come to our city and change your life. Hiring was hard. I hustled a lot. I hustled way more for hiring than in fundraising, convincing people. And for some reason that is like, maybe it's like more personal. You are talking to a person, not to a firm. That actually like the rejection for me was a little like even harder to, emotionally harder than the like rejection from the VCs because, this person can make that decision versus, I can't confirm as my firm doesn't want to do that, like a little bit like more personal.
What was one of those early transformational hires that you made? Maybe walk me through the story of what it took to get him on board.
I tell you, for the first person I hired, first software developer. Person was working, had a good salary, genius person. I was like, come work for us to write the codes. And he was like, listen, this is my rent, this is my living cost, and I don't have, this is my car, blah, blah. I don't have savings. I love you. I think you can make it. And this is now 5 months of convincing him to the idea of quitting and doing the job, right? It's not the first day that he just done. Now he convinced and said, how are you going to pay me this much money to come? And I knew I gotta make it. And at the time, I had the Audi TT convertible. It was an old car, but it looked so sick. And from outside, it looked like it's an expensive car. In reality, it wasn't an expensive car. I got a good deal on it. But it looked cool. I said, listen, you can join. We will make money. Don't worry about it. Have a confidence. You're genius. I'm a smart. We'll figure it out. But if I ever don't have the salary, I sell that car and give it to you. Yeah.
Just on the product side, I mean, one of the things you talked about is the beginning. You almost none of it was automated. Were you kind of telling students that this thing was automated, and then you just kind of had like people back, handling all this stuff? What was that period like?
No, we didn't have to fake it in front of the customers. Customers expected a full manual service. So the pieces that was automated, front ending was the search that was very impressive for them. But all the customers see from Applyboard is only like 10% of the entire job. The other 90% is after you match now to get your acceptance to work with universities, to like make sure the documents has no error, all this processing of all these things. That 90% is behind the scene. So the customer really never knew what is automated, what is not automated. What the customer care is, I get my thing done. So for example, when you order this from Amazon, you don't care what happened in the warehouse. All you care, tomorrow, 12 o'clock, this is at my door because I need this. That's a very similar case that we have.
Makes sense. What did it feel like when you because it's kind of a long road. I mean, you got to get students in, you got to help them, you got to get, I don't know if you worked with visas and all this stuff, and then you got to get them approved. Like, what was that feeling like when Applyboard, I don't know if you remember it, when Applyboard kind of closed that first student, all the way through, and they got that acceptance letter?
Oh my God, it's feeling the whole world. Pablo, like the prayer of these people, the positive feedback they give you, the thanks that they send you, the moment they come to Canada and they send you a picture from the airport, or their parents send you a message of thank you, that is worth more than any money or recognition or valuation or publicity or anything. Like the fact that you move the customer happy, their life is changed, and a lot of them that they continued working with us, and some of them actually joined Applyboard later on as an employee, and that's even another level of success. When you see the product of yourself, you brought someone from high school, they came here, they study, they were intern with you, and then later on they become the employee. It's just like full cycle of like happiness. Every time you see them, you're proud. Right now,
That's amazing. I mean, talk about that. I had something else I want to say, but like, talk about that. Like, what were some of the crazy things you had to do on the customer success front? Like, that's one thing I've noticed talking to some founders. Just give you an example. Like when I was talking to Mike Katchen from Wealthsimple, he mentioned in the early days, he would call up every user 30 seconds after they signed up, right? We're talking free users who probably hadn't deposited any money yet, downloaded their app, sign up, and they get a call from Mike Katchen. Like, and now I'm hearing you sparked it because you're talking about, talking to mom in the middle of the night just to make sure her child is okay. Like, what were some of those things that you had to do just to make sure the bar of customer service was, up here?
everything. I remember one case, like the student's application acceptance, I had to get it. So they had like a visa appointment. They were able to like connect. And it was a time that I didn't have a car. So I had to kind of like pay my friend to come drive me to another like city, get the acceptance of this person on the spot, print it, came back, scanned it, and they went for their visa. And then at the same time, DHL it to their home. So I said, this is the electronic version, wait. And they got it like within a day or something.
It ties into one of the things I'm really noticing here. Two things, but they're related. One of the things we talk about a lot on the show is that one of the traits of successful founders is they're insanely focused. They're insanely focused on something, and different ones have different things. I think for you, customer value was clearly an insane focus, and tied to that, to the extent that people are wondering what drove the success of Applyboard, one of the key ingredients was the amount of customer value that you were providing. I mean, for these students, getting accepted, as you've said, is life-changing. It's stressful, all these other things, but to the extent that they get in, it's truly life-changing. So that amount of value, and of course, you're talking about international students that have the means. I think now you're changing with Passage, but in Applyboard days, they had the means. So they had a huge amount of value to get, and they had the means to pay for that value. Plus, the schools on the flip side also get tremendous value because the kind of ROI on an international student is like, 10x what they pay you. That's the key nugget. I mean, it's hard to find areas where you can provide such dramatic value, but when you do, that provides the pull that you need to, that and plenty of hard work, but you need that pull. I think it's a critical ingredient. So I hope that's not lost on anyone, or on you as the founders listening.
The moment we realized that we can charge universities some marketing fee, we dropped 100% of our cost to our students. We made it free for our students. Not only we can not only not charge our students, but also because we send a lot of students to the school, sometimes universities actually give us some sort of a discount. So the students get actually a cheaper price tuition fee if they go through us than they go to university, because we were negotiating some sort of a discount or a scholarship for them. I want this problem globally to be solved. Everyone should have access to good quality education. When they come here, as you said, it's like they found good jobs, they make good money, they all like make $70, $80, $100, $200,000, but that first $30,000 become a barrier for them. I said, why don't we lend them the money? Same system that domestically governments create for citizens. Like you have OSAP, for example, in Ontario, you can borrow. In US, you have different student loan that you can borrow, go to schools. I'm not saying those programs run perfectly, because normally, like when governments do something, there's always like they have different angles and sometimes not running it the most efficiently. But those student loans almost made most of the people able to go to higher education. But such a thing doesn't exist for international students, or if it exists, it's extremely expensive or unachievable or very for a small, limited number of people. So we said for all those 95% of the students that they don't get a scholarship from university and they have to self-fund it, we provide a little bit of loan. At least more people can come here, they change their lives, they can go to the society and do what matters. And as a result of, we want to make sure they're successful and they're going to be able to pay back their loan, so we can make the money recycle, so we can use the money to give it to the next level of students and the next year of students. So the money must be able to like come back.
Love it. I love that mission. Let me ask one more question about Applyboard, because we didn't touch on this, which is, as far as I understand, one of the key pieces of Applyboard that really helped you scale is your partnership with agents, right? Agents in other countries that are the ones that kind of deal closely with the students. How did that start? Like, did you start with that, or did you start kind of going direct to students and then move to this agent model?
Yeah, so when we made the search, remember I was talking about the first iteration we made was a search. We noticed that there are some IPs that they use it too often. It's more than one, like a natural student. So we were curious what is happening, why some people use it this much. And it doesn't make sense someone search like 2 hours a day on your search, like, and for every single day, Yeah, when the students come, they search for hours, and then they go away, and then they come back 2 weeks later. But why is this IP, so many searches is happening? Then we start receiving emails of like, hey, I'm an agent in Bangladesh, I'm an agent in this country, that country. I just used your search. Such an awesome thing. Can I just also apply to you? I know you work only with direct students, but like I have 10 students a week. Can I also bring it? So we are debating what to do with these people. From one side, I'm an online version. And this is actually a good lesson here. From one side, we were like, the first pitch was like, we are online version of agents. And we basically, everyone like saying, okay, so it's a huge market. If you can't like remove the traditional agents and you make it online, it works, right? And now these traditional agents are using on our online advantage, and we were thinking what to do. And we didn't really have a good answer. It was 50-50. Like, it was like, team, we were talking about it. It was 50-50. Right? Both has pros and cons. Pros was like, we get higher exposure. Cons is we don't talk to students every time ourselves. We don't control the funnel. Pros is they do some of the manual work. We don't have to have the staff for that. Cons is like, we don't really know who are these people. Are they authentic? Are they not? We have to do a lot of like vetting to make sure we work with the right agent. At the end of the story is what helped me to make that decision, because I was kind of like between people, was trying to like find out, and it was like kind of myself 50-50 was to go back to mission. What is our mission? Or the other one was the economically. Economically, when we were helping the students, we were making all the money. When we work with agents, we have to share something with them. So it's way more profitable for us to not work with agents, right? That was like another very big piece. Why should we even work with them to share with them? And that was one of the things that I went back to the mission and said, what is our mission? Our mission is to help the students. Our mission was not never to like make the maximum amount of profit. Yeah, we need profit to make sure we can help the students at the first place. But what is our mission? Our mission is to help the students. So let's go. Let's partner with them. Let's be careful. Let's be cautious. We don't know these people.
That's what I really like about the answer, is it really showcases why mission done properly isn't just, words that you put on a slide deck. It is something that aligns your entire team and builds a culture around it, and frankly, makes decisions a lot easier. Like a lot of these micro decisions, you can just go up a level or two till you get to the mission, and it grounds you. And everybody, if everybody's doing that in your organization, then that's extremely scalable, because you don't have to be part of every single little thing, right? So I think that's great. Let's stop it there. I'm going to end with the two kind of quick fire questions that we always end with. The first one, Martin, is when was the first time that you felt like you had true product market fit?
Almost never. Always I wanted more. From day one, I knew it's gonna work. Even without writing a single code, I knew it's gonna work. So I wasn't ever, but from the other side, I was always knew what we can do better. But one day, the first students that they paid online, that was eye-opening for me. It was like, wow, it did happen. And also one day we wake up, we had 40 students applied overnight. Because remember, most of the students applying in Southeast Asia. So when we are sleeping here, is our peak usage of our website, which is during the day in Southeast Asia. So the maximum peak in our usage is when we are sleeping. So every day I was waking up. For 8 years, this was my first thing. I wake up and look at the numbers, see how it is. And those days were like, what just happened?
So last question is, thinking again, you're talking now to an early stage founder. You've gone through 8 years or so at Applyboard, now going through it again. What's one lesson you wish someone had shared with you in the early days?
Overemphasis on the people who have drive and purpose in life, and underemphasis on the knowledge and experience that person has at that time. So if I want to choose,
That's awesome.
two people, one driven, passionate, show the signs that they can learn anything, but they don't have experience, versus another person experienced, but they're not really are in the mood of hustling or something, go always for the first person. That person within 6 months, 1 year, they can learn what the person number 2 can do. But the person number 2 never be able to get to the drive and passion that the first one has on the something change. It's way easier to teach that person the experience that teach the second person the drive.
It's much easier to change, to add skills than to change a person. I totally agree with that.